Good morning and welcome. It is August 27th, I think, 2020 in the Pacific time zone in the very early morning. I have been up for a couple of hours and all of a sudden I realized I hadn't made a video. A few things going on here. One is I learned yesterday that the reason why my videos are not downloading quickly is because I make them too long and there's too many gigabytes. And so I have to figure something out about that. Maybe probably turn it off and turn it back on and then splice them all together or something along those lines. Anyways, I will deal with that later. I think one of the most interesting things, and the reason to even talk about this, is the fact that I got really irritated at my computer guy because I was talking to him about this yesterday and he said, well, it's not meant to do that. It's not meant to do that. iCloud is not meant to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but everybody records video. That's the whole point of this frigging phone that I have, is to record video. And he said, well, you know, if you're going to do that, you need to do it with your camera. And I don't want to do it with my camera. I want to do it with my phone. So that was a very interesting conversation. And it got a little heated. I actually got a little heated over it. And anyways, we did find a solution to it. And the point being is that I was able to get a little heated over it and not be upset. So that's progress. That continues to be indicative of the work that I'm doing. So this morning, I am not really totally inspired. I could go off again on the party formerly known as Republican. I could definitely do that. But you know what? I've made my points about that for the last few days. And like I said yesterday, I think that the biggest takeaway is to be comfortable in what's going on, regardless. So then what would be interesting to talk about today? Well, I'm not really sure. I had some good ones on my list here. I've made a list as I become inspired for stuff. So I've got everything here from You Can't Be Successful, which I've talked about. Do I Believe I Can Speak French, which I have not talked about yet. Clean on Everything and Anything. Now, I have talked about that a little bit. Clean on everything and everything. And that is, of course, in regards to Ho'oponopono. But not in depth. Here's another one. Confronting Death. And asking what's important. What's valuable. Here's another one that I've talked about. At the Present Moment, Filled with Light and Truth. I haven't talked about it in that kind of context. I like that one. Let's do that one. Filled with Light and Truth. God's peace and love, forgiveness of myself for my incorrect perceptions. Forgiveness of every person, place, circumstance, and events which contributed to these feelings and thoughts. So, I'm just going to briefly talk about this. I think I should do a larger video on this. I'm not standing in anybody else's physical shoes. I am only standing in my own. And I have a perception of what's going on in the world. Luckily, I have found a format where I can express my perception of what's going on in the world. Now, my perception may or may not be accurate. And I've talked about this a number of times. I remember talking about it sometime in the last 4 or 5 days. And when someone said, I am frequently wrong. Yeah, I remember that. I think that was last Sunday. And in the context of the line, I am frequently wrong, what that really is talking about is perception. Because I don't know anybody else's physical shoes. I only stand in my own. I only have total history of me. Nobody else. Not even the people that are absolutely the closest to me. I have no total history, the complete sum of what it took whatever person to get to this particular moment in time. Therefore, my incorrect perceptions and to clean that up. Now, cleaning that up is through the Ho'oponopono practice, which I've talked about on a number of occasions. But that really is the key. I'll give you an example. You know, my irritation and heated discussion with my computer guy yesterday. You know, he's a bit of an oddball, but he's a computer guy. And he sometimes can be a little condescending. Not very often, but he can go there in terms of being smart with computers. And, you know, the fact is that I know that I'm better at computers than the majority of people that he works with, and so it irritates me. But still, you see, that's my perception. And I have not spent my entire life in that person's energy and body. So I don't know all the backstory. And I don't know all the backstory to anybody else, even the people I absolutely despise. I don't know the backstory. You know, Mary Trump came out with a book a few months ago, or a month ago, whenever it was, in regards to the raising of the Donald. And one can almost have an empathy around what that must have been like. The fact that someone who is that shut down as he is, who is completely narcissistic and has no empathy for anything whatsoever other than, not other than, he only is considering himself and his resentments and his self-pity. And that's a very sad, sad person. Just think of everything he's missed in life by not having something as simple as empathy. And think of everything he's destroyed, the people he has destroyed, the lives that have been destroyed. And there have been thousands. And now, as president, there are millions whose lives have been destroyed by this narcissistic egomaniac. And that takes me back to, I still don't have a complete, correct perception. And, you know, this is real challenging territory because everybody wants to be right against him, including myself. And still, I know that my perception is frequently wrong. And I know I didn't walk in that person's shoes. So therefore, now that is not in any way, shape, or form to give any leeway to the tragedy of what has been created under this authoritarian regime. None whatsoever. Won't give it any leeway. However, I will give it empathy and sadness that someone could come to the planet and live such a horrible life. And the only way that people like that cope is by destroying other people's lives, because their life was destroyed a long, long time ago. And for that, I can be very sad, and I can have a lot of empathy. That doesn't mean I approve. I personally think that if he does get out of office, I think that he should rot in jail for the rest of his life. But I can still have empathy, because what the fuck happened that would get somebody to that state of mind? How awful must his life have been? Thank you so much for listening today. Not very upbeat again. I apologize. No, I don't. No, I don't. This is what's going on. Bonjour.